What? Oh, sorry! Meccano! Hi! If you want even more Meccano goodness, why don't you check out my Patreon channel? And please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. I post updates in the community section, not only for this week's Patreon build, but also for what I'm currently working on. Thank you, and back to the build. Hi, and welcome back. This week's build is for the tower crane from the Crane multi-kit set. Each script I write for both this channel and my Patreon channel is researched first. While I'm quite sure I can waffle on for the length of the video, it would be rather nice if it made some sort of sense, and was based on facts, not just mere fiction invented by me. And here is the funny thing. Research takes you down rabbit holes, and sometimes you have no idea where that journey is taking you. In this case, my search, as a lot of my Meccano searches seem to be, is about cranes. Well, let's be honest, I'm building the Crane multi-kit set. So there's 8 builds about cranes, as well as the ones from 1960s Set 1 twin build videos. So this week's search is about tower cranes, and it unearthed some amazing ancient tech from a very old civilization. Tower cranes date back some 2,000 years in Chinese history. I was shocked. We all know what a tower crane is, a large structure standing above the skyline, lifting heavy objects to assist with building of colossal structures. That the Chinese had such engineering masterpieces, and 2,000 years before anybody else, not only that, but painted yellow, obviously for safety. Now, never underestimate what your elders did before you. That was advice given to me by my grandmother, and it's very good advice. So I'm looking at these beautiful Chinese towers on the banks of the Yangtze River, wondering what a travel and culture website can tell me about cranes. Oh, wait. Yellow crane tower, not tower crane. As in bird crane, not heavy lifting crane. As in, thank you search engine, that's not what I searched for. And moving on, nothing to see here but a fool and his works. Out of interest, a 15th century tower crane can be seen in Trier in Germany. And Germany has a central role to play in the story of the tower crane. The tower crane, or more to the point the mobile tower crane, was built out of the destruction of a nation. As with all war, when it comes to an end, there is a time for rebirth, hopefully to build a better future. But that future is always tainted to some degree by what has happened to make it come to pass. Without a doubt, the invention of the tower crane revolutionised construction. I doubt there is a city in the world that doesn't have a tower crane in its skyline somewhere. The moment that allowed this engineering marvel to be built was the Second World War, and more importantly, the destruction of German cities. I've been blessed all my life. I've been protected by people, most of whom I will never know. They kept my country safe from threats that I have no idea of. Britain has been, and I hope and pray will continue to be, a very safe country to live in. Even growing up at the height of the Cold War, with also the very real threat of terrorist attack in the 1970s and 1980s, my country was safe. I've never known what fear like that is. I have not known what it must be like to wake in panic, like my mother still does, at the sound of a propeller-powered aircraft at night. I've never known the feeling of despair of having to try to overcome what has happened and rebuild. My mother-in-law was Austrian. During the Second World War, they were moved to Lübeck, a city northeast of Hamburg in northern Germany. when I was first married, me and my wife talked about a war film, out of interest, The Dam Busters. It was the first time I'd ever listened to a first-hand account from an eyewitness to the horrors of the Allied bombing campaign. I've looked at pictures of the devastation left by the raids, but I've never been confronted with the after effects. My mother-in-law also would wake at night in fear to the droning sound of aircraft engines. Before her death, we took her back to Lubeck one last time. Comparing photos taken just after the war to what the city looks like now is, to say the least, thought-provoking. That my safety should rely on something as simple as where I live in the world, the time that I live in, and the never-ending work of others to make sure that we have the best chance of it never happening again, is beyond my ability to fathom. The suffering of any person to have to live through war anywhere deeply saddens me. With the futility of mankind that seems to make conflict inevitable due to our inability to get on, leaves me at times empty of faith and hope. That war brings both destruction, innovation and technological advances cannot be argued. That it seems the worst of us can also be the chance to propel us forward is perverse, to say the least. And after the conflict, we get sometimes to see the best in people. I said earlier in the video that research can take you down a rabbit hole. The knowledge that I have gained just in writing these scripts is wonderful. History is one of the things in life that really fires me. The who, the how, and the way of life is something that ignites that spark in me. So many of the inventions of history, linked to the great people behind them, is a source of inspiration for me. And Hans Lieber is one such person. Herr Lieber was born in 1915 in southern Germany. In 1938 he qualified as a master builder and turned his abilities into managing his parents' building company. Post-war he founded the Hans Lieber Maschinenfabrik company. He's summed up in the following words: a qualified master builder, tireless tinkerer, pragmatic businessman and successful pioneering enterpriser, acclaimed as one of the great pioneers behind the post-war German economy. Amongst his groundbreaking inventions are the mobile tower crane and the first hydraulic excavator in Europe. His company also built fridges and freezers and worked in the aerospace industry. But it is an ability to see a need and create a solution to that problem that I think marks the man. It is easy with hindsight to say of the great inventors and business investors that they are powerful, that they have had it easy because of their money, power or position in life. I believe that the ability mentioned above to see a need and to be able to solve it is a sign of greatness in a person. Herr Lieber not only realised the need to rebuild Germany post-war, but the need for the tools to do so. And not just Germany. Large areas of Europe and beyond have been badly damaged by the war. The first crane was a TK-10. The crane was lightweight, relatively speaking, and was towable on a trailer, which was also its base plate. His creation was presented at the Frankfurt Trade Fair in 1949. At first, the industry was sceptical. After all, cranes existed, albeit lifting to one point. From there, all things had to be carried by hand or barrow to the point that they were needed, as no crane had the ability to lift and then move horizontally. Within a short period of time, Herr Lieber's team had proven that the TK-10 was more than capable of doing the job, and mass production started. At the top of the tower was a point for the horizontal jib. In time, this is modified to a luffing jib, making lifting more efficient. Allowing a small footprint for the crane and the ability to construct on site, as well as ease of movement, the TK10 rooted itself firmly in the industry as a benchmark of excellence in both design and innovation. The ability to move it around the site soon began to outweigh the benefits of other designs. Within a short space of time, other crane designs, like the one this model is based on, came to the market as well. Not resting on his laurels, Herr went on to improve on his designs, forever tinkering to improve on concepts and new designs. But the idea of the tower crane was here to stay. And like all new designs and ideas, engineering flourished. In 1977, the creation of the LTM 1025, the world's first all-terrain mobile crane, is presented to the market. Where this crane differs to converted truck boom arm cranes is that it's designed from the first moment of concept as a complete vehicle, not just a modification of an existing platform. The LTM 1025 and its successor, the 1030, established the concept of all-terrain cranes, which in turn opens up new opportunities in an area where it's been impossible to access up to this point. We now look at large mobile cranes, normally when we have the bad luck of getting stuck behind one on a single lane road, cursing Britain's medieval road network as being normal. But these monsters of heavy lift are engineering masterpieces, born out of destruction and a need to rebuild. With all that said, this build is not a mobile tower crane, but an offshot of that engineering concept. This is a fixed base tower crane, of the type that rises above our skylines the world over. Their construction varies on their purpose, but self-raising tower construction is not uncommon. This is where large jacks raise the top section of the crane, which supports the horizontal jib, and a section is then slotted in. The jib section is then lowered back down on top of the new section of tower and bolted together. Then the action is repeated, and slowly, section by section, the tower grows to the needed height. The next option, if a smaller tower crane is needed, a support crane will build the tower crane to the specified height. But out there are giants, true leviathans of construction. And the Kroll 10,000 is that crane, at over 400 feet tall, with a 266-foot jib reach, allowing to cover a 7.5 acre area or roughly 6 football pitches. These beasts stand taller than the Apollo Saturn V moon rocket. The 15 cranes that were constructed are used the world over, mainly in shipyards, in permanent installed dock crane role. The journey from a workshop in southern Germany to the Kroll 10,000 is an amazing one. Herr Lieber's designs and ideas have helped change the world we live in. His inspirations have driven other engineers to design and build other marvels. Cranes were not his only creations. Herr Lieber went on to design excavators and earth movers, aerospace and refrigeration equipment for industry as well as home use, with the wall-mounted KW105 fridge being quite awe-inspiring. Just looking at modern builds, I just don't see it staying up on the wall for very long. But going back to my grandmother's advice, never underestimate what your elders did before you. It's something that I see again and again with the history behind what I build in this channel. Whether it is a tower crane or another engineering opportunity, it is that moment in history that gives us the impetus and the opportunity for the invention to happen. And that we frequently forget how inspiring that creation is. The mobile phone is a good example. To me, it is still a phone first, with gadgets added. To my daughter, it's a core part of her life. A tool that when it's not there, she feels that something essential is missing and gets anxious. Even the computer that I'm writing this script on has advanced so far in my lifetime. From having to learn DOS command prompts to shortcut keys, and then having to learn how to operate a mouse. And then we have the people who inspire us, from wanting to do better to living a better life. And while the likes of her Lieber's achievements are outside my scope of life, the wish to be better, achieve more, learn more, and hopefully impact on the life of people around us in a positive manner is worth striving for. After all, we can't all design and build a device that will change or affect the world to the scale that the invention of the tower crane has done. But we can improve the world in other ways, in what might seem small, unimportant, almost trivial steps. But those steps make a difference, because without that, there is no great achievement. For me, that inspiration for life comes on a daily basis as I watch my daughter live her life. Because without her, I wouldn't be here now. I would have opted for a different course of action a few years ago. That my parents have been a driving force for me to want to achieve more and live a better life is without a doubt still the powerhouse behind my drive for this channel. My father summed it up years ago when I was having a teenage strop about how life was unfair. That I was dyslexic and didn't understand things. That my siblings were all better than I was. That I was stupid and should have been allowed to die at birth. His words of advice were, "It's up to me. I can fight all I want against the world. It will fight back harder. Or I can choose to better myself. That the fight will not be easy, because anything in life that is worth having never is. I have the skills to learn and the intelligence to use the skills. The rest is up to me. But the choice is mine. It is up to me. But for all the things against me, there will be things in my favour. Life is always a balance, if you choose to see the balance." And he was right, as he was all too often.